Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello, Scott.
Josh, my friend, it is continually ridiculous that we're, less than a month away from the new systems, new consoles.
Yeah.
One, we haven't even got them necessarily guaranteed pre-order-wise, but just the fact that they're coming out anyway after the year that we've had is kind of insane. I don't know where you are on all this. But it's
little bit, yeah. Like, I woke up this morning and I think I saw, was it Greg Miller tweet that we're a month away from them, at least in the US, and I thought, how? How is this even possible? And I saw someone from Xbox say they've got more to show over the next 4 weeks to launch, and I was like, how? How are we like this close? Especially when like, well, like you said, some people don't even have pre-orders locked in. I'm scared to death that mine's not going to come, and I've taken a day off work for it. You know what I mean?
I threw a penny at them. I threw a penny at Mr. Sony and said, please can I have one? And they said, well, maybe. We don't know. Maybe you'll get one on launch day. But anyway, one of the most touted features, or at least something that I think was initially part of the, oh my God, the next generation, what's it going to feel like, what's it going to sound like, was the idea of 3D audio. Now, apparently, Mark Cerny did break this down earlier this year when he did that that massive deep dive talk, the one with the fake crowd, the one that was really weird at the start of the year. And he talked about how they were implementing 3D audio, and apparently it's in two different modes. One is for headsets and the other is to make your TV simulate 3D audio in whichever room you're in. They apparently haven't been able to get the virtual room setup side of things working. So the 3D audio is only going to work if you have a headset, which, coincidentally ties in with the fact that they're selling Pulse 3D headsets alongside the PlayStation. I don't know, but it lines up. Like I said, you have these two different modes, and they have said that the simulated version, the one that's going to work without headsets, is coming at some point in the future, but they don't know when, which is always great. And they did say that, at some point they're going to be able to sort of put it together. But I did write down that this isn't the first time, far from it, that a PlayStation console has launched with advertised features not present at launch, or not present on the first day, with some of the most prominent stuff being the suspend and resume stuff, which was meant to be there on day one for the PS4, but didn't come until a couple of years later. Same thing with SharePlay, that was mentioned by Shuhei Yoshida in the February of 2013, and they couldn't get it together in time. And also the PS4 Pro didn't launch with boost mode, which was the thing that completely revolutionized how games work on PS4 Pro, and the thing that freed up frame rates and allowed like a change to actually make that system worthwhile at all. So it's far from the first time, but if you were waiting for the old 3D audio, it's not coming unless you've got a headset.
It still sucks, like, you know what I mean? Even though I think it's better than the PlayStation 4, it's still just like, another disappointment in what's quickly becoming, Scott Tilford, a line of disappointments. And I don't want to be saying that. It's a month away from getting the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. I want to be incredibly excited for both, but I feel like it's just kind of one thing after another where the messaging has kind of been all over the place. And then they've come out and clarified, it's not going to work exactly how we kind of said it would. This isn't going to be ready. You're going to have to buy our Pulse headset, though. To be fair on them, you don't actually have to buy their officially branded one. They said that the 3D audio would work with pretty much any headset that you have, which is good. And I'm looking forward to trying that out on the console. But it is a bit of a dark cloud hanging over the release in a way. I don't think it is egregious as the SharePlay or the suspend stuff, which was just taking the biscuit. Sony is pretty lucky that the PlayStation 4 was as good as it was at launch, because all of those features being delayed and coming later, in hindsight, is like, how did you not get a bigger kicking for that? Because those features, especially Resume, like, that's one of my favorite things now. I couldn't imagine a console without that kind of feature set, but to think that it wasn't ready is like, what did they even have at launch? Like 4 apps and 3 features.
Knack, I guess. I mean, the thing with obviously the PS4, I've long said the PS4 took off so well because Xbox bungled it so badly. Like, if you go back to like the momentum of the 360 and just how much the PS3 was sort of on the back foot or whatever, the Don Matrick reveal of the Xbox, all the, we're aiming for the TV market and like, you didn't talk to your Kinect and all that kind of crap. That stuff it was so bad, so embarrassingly bad that I think a lot of people just went to PS4 by default, and they then got so much momentum because Xbox couldn't sort of stick the landing. And obviously, like, there was a whole statistic this morning that 80% of overall pre-orders for next-gen consoles are with the PS5. So it seems like a lot of people just are sort of, continuing to go with PlayStation. But like you said, there are a string of things that have kind of made a lot of us go, oh, okay, like, Spider-Man and Horizon being on PS4, and now this 3D audio thing, and just the general conversation around exclusives and the whole backwards compatibility thing, and how are they going to tackle previous gens and whether that stuff is even important. It's a weird thing, and obviously it's been a hell of a year, so I think think that props to both companies for like steamrolling ahead and going like, no, we are going to launch these systems. We are going to give you something to enjoy at the end of the year. But there are little things that keep cropping up, and I don't even know how you would mitigate it at this point. Like they did put it out on a blog post, and this was reported by GameSpot. But like I said, they put it out as a blog post. But these are features that are advertised on mass platforms. They have hundreds of thousands of people watch them. Hundreds of thousands of people attempt to make pre-orders based on these features, and then a little blog post on the side going like, actually we can't, we're not actually able to do that.
No, totally. Like they're not marketing anything wrongly, but like you said, a lot of these features are kind of like in the headlines as they'll, bite-sized marketing slogans about the bullet points of what the PlayStation 5 is going to do. And when you dig into it, it's not exactly how you might think it is, which again, like considering the amount of stuff that could have been pushed back this year, the amount of stuff that could have been delayed, ultimately in the grand scheme of things, I do think it is better than the PlayStation 4, but it is just another kind of, like you said, like in a long line of potential, minor disappointments kind of adding up. Like even when they were talking about the backwards compatibility, which they finally clarified recently, they've essentially given out the list of games that don't work, and it's about like 11 or so. It's not very many at all. Yeah. But like as an addendum to that, they also said that, some games won't work as they did before. And I just think it is funny that Sony's out here on one side going, yeah, you can play all your old PlayStation 4 games. They might be worse than what you've got so far. And then Microsoft's like, we can play everything. You've got Xbox games, you've got Xbox 360 games, and they all play better. And it's like Sony, on the one hand, like they are really trying in a lot of areas, but you can almost identify the parts that you just don't really give a crap about, in that they're just treating it as thoughts and tick a box.
Yeah, when they changed their, when they let you change your PSN name, and they said like, oh, but it might actually break all games. Like some stuff you can change your PSN name, but because of the way that games read that data, some stuff will just brick. And it was like, okay, I guess we'll go out in the wild and we'll figure out where those spikes are then that we're going to fall on. But it was just the same thing in this case, where they said like 99% of all PS4 games will work on PS5. Here's the ones that won't. Oh, but that list will change over time, and the ones that are working still have notable problems. Like some will have performance issues, like frame rate stuff. They basically just sort of gone, we don't know, this isn't what we planned for. We didn't think anyone cared about backwards compatibility, and we're planning on selling you a PS Now subscription or whatever. So it just feels like they're sort of like bolting parts on and stitching things together to be like, look, it's backwards compatibility. Which I'm like, did you look, guys? Which I guess, but like in the case of this thing, like I feel for people who were potentially looking forward to the 3D audio thing. I definitely was, but to the same token, I was always going to use a headset anyway, because I think you're always going to get the most out of it. If you want to get a feel, for what 3D audio can bring to a game, play Hellblade, because that game is made with binaural audio in mind. They recorded everything with 3D audio, which means that you can see stuff over your shoulders and everything. You can see stuff. You can hear stuff coming at you from behind and whatever. And feel free to quote that as well. But where's your what's your general hype on next gen stuff in regards to the audio side of things? Is this a bit of a blow?
I mean, like you said with Hellblade, you know what I mean? That 3D audio was so great. It's sort of selling that sense of, atmosphere and unease with all of these voices around you. Obviously, it's like a huge part of VR experiences, figuring out where exactly you are. And that is always going to work better with headphones. So I'm pleased that's at least there at launch, so I can plug in a pair of headphones and play like Miles Morales or Resident Evil Village in the future and have like these unique experiences. But I am intrigued. I really want to know how it will work from a kind of just a pure TV perspective, because my TV speakers are terrible at the minute. Like if I'm playing Call of Duty, I can hear no footsteps or figure out where nobody is. But the idea that I could simulate like the 3D environment just through a software level by the PlayStation, transforming the sound of my TV, like that's fascinating, and it sucks that it's not there at launch. But I just want to see developers kind of embrace new and innovative ideas when it comes to audio, because it's such a huge part of the experience that it's kind of like editing in film that you don't really notice. And if you don't notice it, like you don't understand like the power that it's kind of having on you. You almost take it for granted. You only really notice when it's really bad and something's out of place, because it's kind of like intended effect of having this implicit, effect on you. So to kind of broaden the scope of that, bring it into a 3D space, make, gameplay experiences around that. Like, I hope that's embraced this generation.
Yeah, and it's like, that was one of the things alongside like the haptic triggers, that it was like, okay, it could potentially be a gimmick, or it could be something that is just this level of quality of life improvement that we don't realize we need until all of a sudden we hear it. And then it's like, okay, like that's just the way that next gen feels, or the way that console games should feel going forward. And like I said, I'm super curious what the hell they've done with it. I think it'll be embraced more by the first party stuff than anybody else for the for the first few months, if not years. But point being that they advertised a feature that isn't going to be there at launch unless you can get yourself control of a headset and you're comfortable playing with a headset. So I think it's an interesting talking point, like regardless. But yeah, let us know what you think down in the comments below. One, have you managed to secure a PS5 whatsoever, and what do you think of the potential of 3D audio only being relegated to headsets for now? For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.